Okay, I'm 20 years old. If you do the math, that's halfway to 40, and I've been 10 years old twice. But another way of thinking about it is I was -5 when the Phantom Menace came out. So when I heard that I could see it in theaters 25 years later, I was like, sounds like a plan. I wanted to go see the Monkey Movie 4 anyway, the kingdom of the rise of the fall of the collapse of the House of Usher of the Planet of the Apes. That one. Um, so I was like, and I'll see it anyway. It'll be pretty fun. See it on the big screen. Watch Duel of Fates. Listen to Duel of Fates. Let's be honest. It's watching Duel of Fates. That's how it feels. You're watching a crazy visual accompaniment to just a really cool song, not the other way around. But I'm getting lost. So I went to see it, and biggest takeaways of like why is this video worth making, at least in my eyes? Big screen, loud sound, different type of experience, right? And I really, really, really wanted to put myself in two shoes. One, well, I always want to put myself in two shoes. I want to put myself in four shoes. The first pair of shoes was that I was seeing The Phantom Menace for the first time in 1999 as a lover of Star Wars. And the second pair of shoes is I'm seeing this as a lover/hater of Star Wars as a 20-year-old in 2024 with the benefit of hindsight and retrospective and all of those kind of things watching this movie. So yeah, let's get started. So the first thing that I think everyone my age will say is, that's Lego Star Wars. That's Lego Star Wars. I know that. And like, we've all seen these movies before. But more than we've seen these movies, I'd be willing to bet we've played the game. Everyone loves Lego Star Wars. Like, it's a classic. So every scene, rather than like, oh yeah, I've seen this scene before, it's just like Lego Star Wars. Yeah. And unrelated, I'm pretty sure they just came out with a like full Droideka Lego set. So I will be buying that. It's awesome. I was obsessed with the way they would crunch in when I was little, and I always wanted to have one of the Lego sets that had them. They were so cool. Okay, so the beginning of the movie sucks. It was bad. It was really, really bad. It hurt to watch. People talk about walking out of movies, and I think that's really over dramatic. Like, just watch the movie, eat the popcorn, have fun, make fun of it, whatever. But if I were to ever walk out of a movie, it would probably be in the first 15 minutes of The Phantom Menace. If I were a fan in 1999, I would have been like, 3 movies was enough. I'm good. I'm skedaddling. Let's go do something that people in 1999 do. Like, wow, I don't know. Go bowling. Go bowling. So, why was it awful? I knew the effects were going to be bad, right? It's 1999, and like obviously George Lucas goes back and makes all these changes and stuff. The worst thing about it, though, other than the effects, because I mean, like, that's excusable. It's an old movie. This part was just plain bad. It didn't matter what time you saw it, what decade you saw it in. This is bad. The Viceroys, the Trade Federation. I know this is like everybody knows this, but to me, that is the worst part of the movie. The entire part of the movie. And not even the Trade Federation and the politics throughout the movie. Just these guys, these little weird bug-looking guys with the racist accents, and especially in the first 10 to 20 minutes of the movie, I want to pop them. I want to pop them and watch their red eyes go, pow. Yeah, they just made me really, really mad. The lines, specifically, not even the accents, it was the dialogue that killed me. And I know people talk about the dialogue in these movies a lot and how it's like really bad. It's not that bad. I didn't think it was that bad. Star Wars, like, none of the lines in the original trilogy are all that great either. Like, Obi-Wan's dialogue is like, it's delivered great, but like the writing itself, like the lines that they actually speak are pretty bad. They've always been. I know Harrison Ford changed his a lot because they were bad. It's the same guy directing it. You can't act like, oh, all of this stuff changed, blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't know if it's the same guy directing it, but George Lucas throughout all of it. But these guys, these bug-looking guys, it was just so bad. They would say stuff like the droidicas, like the little roll-up guys. They'd say, the Jedi are no match for droidicas. Really? That's like saying, that's like Rita Repulsa from Power Rangers being like, these putties, these little goons, they're gonna mess up the Power Rangers for real this time. They're gonna get them. I promise you. This time, it's gonna happen. Like, I get that they're supposed to be like intentionally stupid, but it doesn't matter. They make me so angry. After that, stuff took a turn for the better. Like, seriously, the CGI was pretty stinking good. It was jarring at first. There was definitely a couple places where I thought, like, this is taking me out of it. Again, only in the first 10 minutes, which was weird. Like, the effects throughout the entire movie were pretty, like, stellar. Even, like, Jar Jar, like, I was looking at him thinking, like, this is not that bad. Like, I am immersed. I'm really immersed. And the amount of characters in this movie, like side characters, super, super tiny characters in the background, the diversity between them, I think, is bigger than any Star Wars movie ever. Bigger than any of the other prequels, bigger than the sequels, which have way more of a budget. I don't know. I don't know how money works. But there were so many characters where I would look at them and go, I've never seen that before. I've never seen that before, but because I'm on a screen this big, I can see those little tiny details. And like the pod racing scenes, they just throw out like hundreds of characters in the background, and you just look at them because they were so focused on building a world, building a galaxy, because they had all those resources now that they could do that. And I know everybody hates on George Lucas, like, keep the film the way you made it. And I definitely agree with the original trilogy needs to stay where it was. But, and I might be wrong about this, but I do think he, like, has changed the prequels, and I think it's for the better. People, like, replacing, like, practical effects with digital effects is one thing, but when you're just making bad digital effects better, that's good. Yeah, it really is, like, he has the capability to expand the galaxy in a way that really works for the Phantom Menace, because you're supposed to have that full scope of the galaxy then. When you're getting it from Luke's perspective in the original trilogy, it's kind of going to trickle. Like, it wants to trickle. He's a guy from Tatooine. But, yeah. So world building was kind of insane. Specifically in the pod racing, I had a blast. I thought the pod racing part of the movie was so fun. And I was like, they could end the movie right here, and I knew where it ended, obviously. They could end the movie right here, and I'd be happy. Or I could just watch this for an hour, and I think I'd be pretty happy. The sound design, getting to hear that in the theater, like, it was some crazy stuff. Like, you could, like, the speakers were behind us, obviously, and it would be like, just, I don't know. It's cool Star Wars, bleep, blop, bloop, and that kind of stuff. Here's my biggest hot take. And I'm liking the internet more than I did, because I feel like hot takes are a little bit more respected now, rather than, like, I think people are a little bit more respected now on the internet, except for, like, big social media platforms and stuff. Like, if there were a kid now who would go and play young Anakin and say he did a bad job, I don't think people would send death threats to the kid these days, which is nice. My biggest thought throughout the entire movie was, this isn't as bad as people say it is, and even if it was, I just wouldn't be the guy to, lash out on an actor for something that they're not responsible for, like written lines of dialogue. Especially like an 8-year-old kid. If you're going to attack someone for the movie being bad, you have to attack the right people, not the people just doing their jobs. Like, that's like criticizing, I don't know, I don't feel like thinking of an analogy, but Jar Jar and Anakin were the two where throughout the entire movie I thought, like, wow, what is people's problem? Why were people so mean and, like, not even just mean to, like, the actors on a personal level, but, like, why were they so dismissive so quickly? Like, yes, they needed to kind of cut Jar Jar after this movie, but was it worth calling this, like, the worst Star Wars movie ever because of Jar Jar? No. There were points, and this brings up a good point, of, like, post-irony and, like, humor and meme culture and where all that stuff is nowadays. Or it's not. Maybe Jar Jar's just genuinely funny. But so many moments where he was on screen had me actually laughing. Like, I looked at my brother and we were having a good time laughing at Jar Jar because Jar Jar himself was funny. Not because, like, it's funny because Jar Jar's so bad. Well, I guess that is the point of Jar Jar. But you know what I mean. Not so poorly written. And, like, things are funny now because I think people have an appreciation for things despite them being bad or good, and that's way more public now. It's a very popular thing to like bad stuff, to like stuff that is, like, of poor quality. Not even saying that Jar Jar is, but if something was really bad, like, on a quality level, and, like, unfunny that Jar Jar did, I could laugh at it anyway. But that was a surprisingly small amount of things. There were just so many cases where Jar Jar was funny. Jar Jar is funny. That's the title of this video, I think. Yeah. And even if he's not, even if you don't like that, I'm going to talk about this for a while. Jar Jar was a compelling character. Jar Jar Binks was a compelling character in Star Wars. I will probably die on that hill. There are little nuances to his character that once you get past, ooh, like, funny word, funny dialogue, he's messing up words in English, he's bad at English. He's a compelling character. He's one that was, like, casted out of the Gungans, and it makes you wonder why, and, like, he's clumsy, obviously. That's, like, the main part of the humor. But I put him in the lens of a human, and suddenly I am intrigued. I want to know more. I'm on his side. I am on Jar Jar Binks' side, wholeheartedly. He sounds like a nice guy. I'd like to meet him someday. Yeah. So the other one is, like, Jake Lloyd, little baby Anakin, little tiny infant Anakin, newborn, what's he say in Talladega Nights? Barely even weigh a pound. He's stubby little hands. You know, baby Anakin. He was good. He did a good job. Jake Lloyd did a good job being Anakin. I'm not being forced to say that. That was my thoughts. Not even in the sense of a child actor acting. It was just an actor acting like a child. Which is a good thing. When you have an actor who is playing the part of a kid, you would hope that they would, you know, play the part of a kid. So when the kid played the part of the kid and the public hated him for it, it's just so frustrating because, like, obviously everyone's like, no, yeah, that's ridiculous. But the people who are saying, yeah, no, that's ridiculous, were the people 25 years ago, you know, trying to send a mob after this poor 8-year-old boy. He was a compelling character. Obviously, he's Darth Vader. Like, no matter what, even if it was bad, you're like, wow, this guy's going to grow up to be Darth Vader. I'm intrigued to see where this goes. There were so many instances where he was just a kid, and, like, there would be little looks he would give other characters that would make me and my brother laugh or smile in a genuine way. Not even in, like, a this is bad acting way. I think Jake Lloyd is a good actor and did a really good job in this movie. There was, like, so many moments where the character was filled with, like, that childlike wonder, and I think child actors, especially in the 90s, were so bad, so awful, there are so many movies from this era that I will watch and be like, wow, they could have, and I don't blame the kids. I blame the people directing them. You can get bad actors to be good actors by telling them what to do, right? And so when you just tell a kid to do something and they do bad, that's not on them, that's on you. They're a kid. They're like a 10-year-old kid, and here you are screaming at them. That's the whole, Dan Schneider thing, whatever. This is so off topic. This was supposed to be a drum channel. But yeah, he was a good actor. I was really, really, really intrigued to see the dynamic that he and Obi-Wan would eventually grow up to have. And so much of this movie, which I thought was amazing, is just a play on expectations. And that was the outrage, right? That was what people were so mad about, was that they had expectations that were shattered. And most of them would say in a bad way. I think I'm going to move on from the Anakin thing, aside from the fact that he was just it was good. Anakin was good. The lines were not stiff at all. The only thing that I thought was just a little awkward was his little yippee, but like, why is cheesy bad? You know what I mean? Why is cheesy all of a sudden a bad thing? So another thing is the midichlorian thing. People always talk about it ruined Star Wars because it ruined the mystique of the Force. I don't think that's true at all. I think you can label the Force as magic, right? And that's what people did. And whenever there was a science explanation for it, or whatever you want to call it, that made people mad because there was no mystery anymore. There was no mystical aspect of it, at least to them. I think that's stupid. Like, just because there's an explanation for something doesn't mean there's no magic to it anymore. I think, and this is an off-topic conversation, but I think like the mechanisms of which things happen are the magic. Not just, I can't explain it, so it's cool. When you can explain it, sometimes it gets even cooler. But, so midichlorians, blah, 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 blah. What I like about it is that it offered a way for the Force to become more shrouded. Because to act like all of these Jedi who are together, and this is arguably supposed to be an era where things are way better. Things are way better than they were before the Empire. So the Force is not as much of a mystery. And I think that's fine. I like the idea that in the original trilogy, Luke discovers the Force through Yoda. I also like that Yoda wouldn't mention midichlorians, because that's a pretty Yoda thing to do, if you ask me, when he's teaching Luke about the Force. And like Obi-Wan would do the same. Obi-Wan gave him a fake name. Obi-Wan did all that kind of stuff. He was not very, I don't want to say he wasn't trusting of Luke, but like he definitely led him to some red herrings, I guess. I didn't mind midichlorians. There were just so many ways that audiences feel that the Phantom Menace and the prequels in general failed them. And they're like coming back and realizing like maybe these things are kind of cool. Tatooine was really cool. Was really, really, really cool. To see a different aspect of it, to see a part of it that's a little more lively besides just, Luke, farmer boy kind of deal was awesome. The amount of characters, I looked at it like a big set piece the entire time and just would, notice the tinier little details of everything. I just thought Tatooine was a really cool place, and especially pod racing. Pod racing was sick. It was really, really cool to see seeds planted that wouldn't get fulfilled for a long time. Like how young Anakin is, how young Obi-Wan is. Oh my goodness. Like he's barely a character in this movie. And I think that's kind of for a reason. I think they knew that they were going to use Obi-Wan later. And so planting the seeds for just him to be a young apprentice put a little more mystery in there of what happens in between. Seeing Obi-Wan's master is cool. Qui-Gon is sick. Um, yeah, and you can kind of see why Obi-Wan was a little bit more by the books than Anakin was come later prequels, and it's because Qui-Gon was so not by the books that I think it frustrated Obi-Wan. Um, I really think this movie is Obi-Wan is supposed to be a very minor character in it, and him and Darth Maul are great. I think Darth Maul was properly used in this movie. That's another hot take. They did not underuse Darth Maul. I think Darth Maul was a character that was supposed to be used as much as he was. I think there was a point to him only having a few lines of dialogue. He was not supposed to be this grand, complex, crazy character. He was supposed to be a scary, scary guy who looked really cool and had 2 lightsabers. I think that's it. No one was concerned about Boba Fett's character development when the original trilogy came out. He was just a cool guy. Same thing with Darth Maul. I think Darth Maul was something for them to fight at the end, and I think that's perfectly fine. I thought that was really sick. When Duel of Fates came on, I had as much joy as anyone does watching Duel of Fates, but on a massive screen. It was so freaking cool. Yeah, the more Darth Maul talked, the less frightening he would have been. If you ever seen the original character designs for that guy, oh, like, this Darth Maul is a little tamer than that, and it's nice to still see him so scary. Yeah, I think when he comes in, it's kind of like Obi-Wan. They're both not very in this movie. Like, Obi-Wan's definitely more in it. He's walking around, he's interacting with the other characters, planting those kind of seeds. But when they rise at the very end, they take way more prominence, especially Darth Maul. And then when Darth Maul killed Qui-Gon, I forgot that happened. I was just, chilling, watching the movie, being like, yeah, this is great. And then Qui-Gon gets stabbed right here with a lightsaber. And I was like, oh, wow. He dies, doesn't he? That's crazy. And then I go, oh, yeah, that's why it's supposed to feel like that. Yeah, so when Obi-Wan comes up, it is very much I'm not ready for this. I was not really prepared for this. I'm just my master's apprentice. And now, in a matter of milliseconds, I have to be the big guy. I have to kill this creature, this insane, mysterious guy. Also, regarding the mystery of Darth Maul, I think it would have been really stupid for them to reveal a whole bunch about the Sith in this first movie. And in not doing that, I think Darth Maul's silence is a smart move. Keeping that mystery is vital to having an intriguing villain that you're going to have for 3 movies, and people know you're going to have it for 3 movies. All you know about the Sith is that there's 2. There's just 2 of them. That's the only thing you know. Red lightsaber, cool. Yeah. When Obi-Wan finally kills Darth Maul, another hot take, Darth Maul could have died right there. Stayed dead. I've never seen the Clone Wars. I heard the Clone Wars are great, and I heard he's probably a pretty intriguing character. I did watch Rebels when it came out when I was little. You don't need every cool-looking character to be this huge, complex character with this crazy backstory, and you don't have to use them all to their full extent. I think Darth Maul served his purpose really, really well, and that could have been the end of it, and I think that could have been fine. Yeah. I think I would love to see, and I don't think this will happen, but I would love to see more content from a young Anakin and Obi-Wan shortly after the Phantom Menace, because there's 2 distinct time periods in the prequels. There's the Phantom Menace and then the Clone Wars / Empire rising up and stuff. Yeah, I would love to see that dynamic of, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm barely, I'm just a guy. I'm just an Obi-Wan. I think that would be really cool. Besides all of that, I think appreciating that this movie made Star Wars what it is in a big way. Especially to people like me who just grew up with these movies. If you ask really probably any millennial too, and any Gen Z child, I say child, you're getting pretty old, they'll probably tell you Revenge of the Sith is their favorite Star Wars. They will tell you that they might not say it's the best, or a lot of them will, but the reason for that is that their expectations were non-existent. That's just how it goes. When you have someone who you just show them, this is what this thing is, do you like it? They're a lot more likely to say yes than this is what you should expect. If it doesn't meet your expectations, you should not like it, is how we tend to think. The hype for this movie, I heard, was wild. So I think even if it didn't meet everyone's expectations, it can definitely be appreciated as a movie in its own right and as a solid installment of Star Wars. And by now, I hope people realize how essential it was to building this entire world. Yeah, I'm probably just going to keep doing videos of whatever I want to talk about for however long I want to talk about them. I'm not going to edit them. I don't want to edit videos. I'm not going to script them because I don't want to script videos. I'm just going to talk in front of a camera like, you know, it's my YouTube channel because it is. I'm going to do what I want with it. Yeah. Bye.